Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's day 4 of the DoorDash LCO, and we've got a banger day coming up. But before we jump into that, yesterday it was filled with a huge amount of action. Before we jump into that, hey, I'm Mac. What's up? How you doing? I hope you're all doing all right in chat. Whoever's joining us nice and early, you know, we've got the awesome pre-show packed up for you guys as well, and we will be bringing in the other talent shortly. But I just want them to know that I love them dearly, and I love you guys dearly. Now let's have a quick look back at what happened yesterday here on the DoorDash LCO.
I do trust you, Shinky, but forget about that. I want to go for the all-in.
Oh!
He actually takes out Pradev. Forget Shinky. I will ego onto you. Now, that inhibitor's still topped up. It's at 50%. Pepper looking for the ultimate. He shoves it right into the way of Deagle. He goes in, and Pradev picks up that kill. A second kill here for the Pentanet bot lane. They might just try to wrap this game up. 25 minutes on the dot. That's what they're playing for. You said it, a 7th kill now to his name. He really is the king of this roster. Got might be in a bit of trouble here too. What can Shock do in this situation? He's got the flash, and he's going to look to go for that miss straight away. Now, there is no death mark. It is actually, sorry, it is back up. So now that he comes out of this one, he's in a whole world of pain. He might just get one shot like this underneath the turret. How much HP does he have? There's 2 members in the base. They're going to end this game. 3 members in the base. What is with Os and backdoors? I will never know. But Order, nonetheless, will end this game at 31 minutes.
Crazy games yesterday, and we got to see some individual brilliance from a fair few players all across the board. And speaking of individual brilliance, let's bring in 2 brilliant individuals back to the panel. We have Rusty, who was there in chat yesterday, but he's here with us today to finally have a bit of rebuttal to all the naughty and great things I was saying about him yesterday. And Skimmy as well, over there on the far right of screen.
Yeah, we're just running it back to back. We're just making it happen. Already excited, not even casting, but I'm talking fast. So, you know what? I'm keen. I really want to see this game won to try and answer some of the questions going around as these power rankings. Bit of our predictions. Getting a little bit stale, a little bit one-sided, but you know what? I'm just jumping the gun. That's how eager I am. So how are you, Rusty?
Yes, you are. Thanks for asking.
Thank you, mate.
I'm great, mate. Ready to get into it. I mean, I actually... while you're talking about those predictions, I'll give you a little spoiler, Skibby. I literally flipped a coin for one of them, so
yeah,
we'll see how we go.
You're just a madman.
coin.
Perfect predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting them all right, so I may as well push myself to my absolute limits, right?
Okay, well, with that, Rusty, let's have a look at the standings and see where all the teams are currently sitting after 3 days of games. And we are going to have Peace and Order undefeated at the top. Mammoth and Legacy still winless at the bottom, and then it's 2 and 1s and 1s and 2s all across the middle there, with Pentanet and Chiefs in 3rd, Direwolves, Gravitas in 5th, and Rusty, you weren't here yesterday, so you didn't get to have a say. Please, what is standing out to you with the standings at the moment?
I think the big thing for me is schedules and strength of schedules, particularly for teams like Order, who are one of the only 2 teams now undefeated on the ladder. They've had a pretty easy run, you would have to say, compared to some of the other opponents that they could have. So realistically, you know, we're only 4 days worth of gameplay in. Good on them for being 3-0. They've been playing very well so far, but there's a long way to go with the way the standings currently are, and no one can rest easy. Only 3 games in.
Yeah, it's going to be a very long endurance tester all season. You know, the extra game that we get to play between each team is certainly going to separate the boys from the men, so to speak, and see who is going to make it to the playoffs, because I'm excited to see what happens once we get there. And even, you know, in terms of the patches and as they're coming forward, you know, some more patch notes came out for the new patch coming out yesterday as well, I believe. That's going to be interesting to see how that affects it when we do bring that into the DoorDash LCO. But, you know, we have a couple of big games coming up today, so let's bring up the schedule and have a look at what we are going to be watching this evening. So, to kick things off here at 6 p.m, Order, the undefeated 3-0 at the moment, going up against Chiefs 2-1. But Chiefs have been looking damn hot, so this is probably my pick for game of the day. And it's straight out of the gates as well. 7 p.m, you got Direwolves and Mammoth going head-to-head to see if Mammoth can get on the board. Maybe Direwolves, they are still, I believe, with a mixed roster, just without Cupcake right now. 8 p.m, you've got Pentanet 2-1, looking to get some redemption and take on Legacy, who are also hunting for their first victory. And then at 9 p.m, to round out the night, we've got Gravitas and Peace going head-to-head. It's going to be a true test of skill for Gravitas there, because Peace have been popping off so far here in the DoorDash LCO. So, Skimmy, what's your game of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it before. I mean, I didn't even allude to it. I just Basically said it, right? I just jumped straight into it. Yeah, game number 1 for me, so hype. You talk about strength of schedule, Order being gifted a bit of a beauty in that regard. So time for them to adjust, time for them to change up their playstyle, which we've already seen them do with Kevy coming into the rosters. So I'm keen to see what that actually means now, because going up against Chiefs, I think you've got 2 very carry-centric junglers looking to do battle against each other. Only one will be able to come out ahead. On that, Puma's been playing out of his mind right now, but Mboma's liking the meta, so I'm super curious to see how these players stack up stylistically and, yeah, as a whole.
Yeah, I think, the jungle matchup head-to-head between Kevy and Swathe is going to be interesting to see which way it goes and what type of champs we are going to see in the jungle for match 1 of the day. But before we get there, let's have a quick chat about many things. So what happened yesterday? We had some crazy stuff going on. Rusty, you were there watching in chat. Tell me, what were your thoughts on yesterday's games?
Yeah, yesterday was kind of expected overall, just not how we got there, right? There was a couple of really cool moments, like for example, Frosts from Mammoth being 7-1 in a loss against the best team in the league is not something you'd expect to say. We got Sejuani again, a champion that we're not really seeing anywhere except for Swathe picking it, similar to Sybil playing his Zac. We've had a lot of pocket picks and things like that we're starting to see more and more. Direwolves, I think we're seeing the potential, particularly yesterday and the week before, of what they could be once they get their full 5 and are able to actually practice. We still don't have that yet, I believe, today as well. And the teams that were challenging for playoffs, Mac, what I saw yesterday was a lot of promise because they were winning through being better teams, not just being better players.
That's always what you want to see, the whole team performing at once. And hopefully we get to see a bit more of that today. Speaking of moving forward, we are going to have a quick look at the key picks, and these should just be Rusty's picks for mid as far as this is concerned. So, Rusty, these are the unpicked mid picks so far. And why do you think they are going to be key picks there in mid?
So, without trying to talk for too long, Lulu hasn't been picked yet in mid lane. Lulu probably should be picked more in mid lane. 1, it's similar to Karma in that it's a flexible champion, so it's easy to pick high in draft priority. 2, it has very cheap itemization choices, when right now the game is pretty reliant on hitting like 1 item spikes, 2 item spikes, and winning team fights, because mostly teams that are ahead at 15 minutes are winning right now, barring mistakes from your opponents. So in a vacuum, it makes sense to have cheap items and spike. And 3, the junglers that are running around right now, if you give them a Lulu, you do not lose a 2v2, right? Like you've got a Xin Zhao. How is a Xin Zhao Lulu ever going to lose a 2v2? That is ridiculously broken as a duo. So I think right now there is a lot of untapped potential in picking the Lulu, putting it mid lane. So I'd like to see more of that. The second pick is a champion that I think can beat the Lulu and is more of a conversation on like philosophy in terms of how you draft. So Xerath outranges Lulu and outpushes Lulu. There is a couple of other champions that can do a similar thing. Azir potentially, Vel'Koz as well. But Xerath, my personal pick, because I think it's just exceptional with the item choices in this season. So I would like to see Xerath, but I don't expect we'll see that one. That's just for me. Ezreal, we've seen one in North America played mid lane. Right now, as long as you're getting money and levels on Ezreal, you're probably going to win the game. So if you have a free matchup in mid lane, Ezreal could honestly work there, and it opens up some really cool draft flexibility with like a Ziggs going bot lane or something, which is possible and would not shock me to see that. And Renekton, because it's broken and we just haven't seen it yet, and I really want to see it for once. Teams are very afraid of the champion. But even in games where it hasn't been banned, it's not being picked. And that's worrisome for me because it means that you can't play one of the easiest champions in League of Legends. So probably get it together if you're not a Renekton player right now.
All right, well, hopefully we get to see some Renekton players at this split because so far, no good. Anyway, Skimmy, any thoughts on Rusty's key picks for mid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to track, actually. We saw Xerath once, I think, last split. I'm trying to remember who it was. It's either Chungi or Kyosei, someone that played it into a... just to be really annoying, right? Just play that ranged artillery and pretty much act as a sentry in the mid lane, but still able to contest and look for fights elsewhere. We've already seen the Lulu Xin Zhao pairing. I believe that was some Legacy yesterday, but they played that top side, right? They had Lulu top with the Xin Zhao elsewhere, so... we've yet to see in mid, which is, I'm sure, what you're really harnessing on, just given the ease of access. But top side feels a little bit awkward, right, to have to roam up top side and gank and give pressure, and they're probably more focused on harassing than farming CS themselves anyway.
Yeah, and ego fighting.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I liked that segment. I really like Rusty's theory craft day. You know, hopefully we get more of those days. It seems like what it was, you know, the unpicked champs that need to be picked at some point or should be picked in Rusty's opinion. I love that. So hopefully we can get Skimmy's opinion on, I don't know, bot lane, top lane, jungle at some point. Or, you know, I'm sure we could even get Juice to have a big opinion on what should be played in jungle that isn't currently. Now, that takes us one step further in the show, and of course it is my favorite segment, and I don't think we have anything just yet, so get your bloody creativity caps on, because it's from the fans. So make sure you get the content coming in. All right, we're happy to do OPGG reviews. We're happy for you to send in great pictures of us that you've created, or huge photoshopped images, or maybe real images that you guys might just be a Photoshop whiz and make it look completely perfect. Anyway, over at LCO there on Twitter, send them over and we will get them on the show, because we love your content, we love your creativity, and we want to share that with everyone watching, because it is something that should be shared. And also go and follow all the other socials as well. Hit that follow button here on the LCO Twitch channel if you are watching here. YouTube as well. Is it sub? I think it's sub over on YouTube. I'm a boomer, so
yeah,
I should
is.
know more about YouTube here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just give me the content, Mac. I want to be memed. I'm pretty sure when I joined the OPL of last year, my opening introduction was Ubisoft give me something not safe for work. So I'm not going to mention it, but it was a way of like, welcome to the league, bro. This is what you're going to have to deal with. So, you know.
I just thought about this, Skibby. Remember when you first joined the league a couple years ago now, and the first thing we said to you is there's a curse on your role?
Yeah, they said play-by-plays don't last. They're going to go.
And you're the final boss, because
I've made it,
we swapped, but you're the only thing that stayed. It was the league that swapped.
It might be because I play too much of another game that has plenty of bosses in it. I don't know. That's a bit of a tin hat conspiracy theory right there. But, you know, send your memes in. Get creative.
Actually, speaking of raid bosses, I think we might have one that's been created by someone at home. So let's throw this up. And I think it's actually Elfish Guy as a raid boss. So we've got Dar and Taris again popping off with the content. And at LCO last night was at MacMate Areno. Now we have Elfish on a shelf. So I'm sure Jordan's going to be happy with this one. That's probably new profile picture material.
Elfish on a shellfish could have been very good as well.
Ooh.
That's
on a shellfish. Like
yeah.
I like it. Dar, if you're in chat, you know, get to work. Just literally change the background there and we're laughing. All right, I think that's content that's been gifted to you, and we want to see it. So I'm going to be testing out your Photoshop skills, and hopefully everyone behind the scenes is going to be able to get that one up on screen for us. But that brings us to what you're all here for. Game time. It's Order taken on Chiefs. Now, let's talk Order first here. So, they've been looking good so far, 3-0. They have been going for more squishy sort of drafts until yesterday, where they were very tanky, and then it was mostly reliant on that center. So, Rusty, do you think they're going to go for that approach again? Are we going to see more Kevy Vi out of nowhere, or are we going to see something a bit more meta?
It's a good question, particularly given their matchup today against the Chiefs, as they do share a weird champion pool, Kevy and Swathe. So I'm not sure what we'll see from him. But looking at the rest of the team, I think you're right. Like, tanks is something that you expect to see through the support role, but Beats has been playing more of the enchanters. Rakan is the closest we've gotten in the Tahm Kench yesterday. I think we'll see more of the high pace, if possible, high damage, high pace comps with low tankiness, because it does seem to be where Order are the most comfortable, you know, maximize that young mechanical player who I will be the first to say definitely went for some ego kills up in top when he was just winning, and instead of just winning, he tried to win more. But that happens, right? They're young players, and those are the champions that you want to see from them, so they can almost get away with things like that here and there.
Yeah, just doing a decent job so far, but up against Chiefs, they're going to have a whole different world ahead of them, because so far Order have had what would be considered some easier games, and now this is where the difficulty starts to rise, because, you know, Chiefs, all regards and all things we've heard, is apparently they're just smashing it over in their scrims, and they've been translating that relatively well into games, or into stage games, or whatever the kids call it these days. But I'm excited to see what the Chiefs have for us as well. So, Speaking of Chiefs, Skimmy, do you want to run us through who are going to be the key players, I guess, for Chiefs today?
Yes, so obviously a lot of key players. You talk about the strength of schedule on the side of Order. Well, Chiefs have also played against Legacy and Mammoth too. They've both found those victories. So the strength that they'll have is the fact that they've made a very close game against Peace. Unfortunately, no wide Kisei today. Maybe a small little nerf in that regard. But the rest of the team as a whole have been looking really strong. I've been so impressed still with Lived. He's played a game as Nocturne, back-to-back now performances on the set. He will just get those solo kills if required of him, but he comes to a team fight and he knows exactly how to grip up multiple members to put them on a silver platter for the rest of the team to pounce upon. Kisei, I mean, let's look at yesterday, for example. This game in particular, he was gifted so much, right? The fact that he comes into lane with 3 kills, double buffs, and all the rest of it. It was a bit of a montage reel for him. Credit where credit is due during Cursor holding his own, but we touted him as this young, new rookie player that was going to show up, and there'll be moments, I'm sure, later on in this season where inconsistency comes across, but right now he's filling himself. They're drafting AD-heavy comps that need to find these big leads in the first 15-minute, and they are, because individual players like Draco, who picked up the MVP yesterday, he was a hook magnet, he was just making everything stick, and Swaif is saying, well, and that could be a key area, right? We talk about the carry junglers. Swaif might decide, look, I'll just play a tank, and we're going to try and target you in another way for Kevy.
I actually think that we're looking at probably a game determined by skirmishes with Chiefs against Order. Chiefs skirmishing has been exceptional, really, so far through the first 2 weeks. Like you mentioned, the inconsistency of Kisei, that's definitely a factor within that, and perhaps trying to change his champion pool away from being as comfortable as it currently has been. He seems very good on this Lee Sin. Is something worth considering. And Skimmy, while we don't have wired Kisei anymore, we do have wide Dragku at all times. If you've seen the boulders on that man, he's just, whoa.
It's true.
Yeah, just smashing the weights and smashing the chicken, it seems like. So let's have a quick look at a nice little bit of content Order has prepared for us here.
My main goal was for split 2 to be a starting jungler and get more game time and stuff. Unfortunately, Babib came back from NA and they wanted him, so I had to look elsewhere for a starting spot.
Kevy, pretty insane player from what limited evidence we have of him. I remember the first game he comes into the game with Peace and just puts on a clinic. I think it was 10-0 at the end of that one.
He is literally showcasing that, hey, it's not all about Violet. I can do stuff on this roster too.
I want to go into the game and be able to say I played my best, not have any regrets.
The Maximize gone, a 1-for-1 regardless though, because that means that the Rumble is dead and deleted. Frostbite himself a second, he gets himself a shutdown. People getting knocked up, Puma trying to do whatever he can from above. He might just take them all, he certainly will.
If I do that, I'll feel good. It feels really good having a starting spot, I get to play all the scrims and we're not splitting time or anything, so gives me a really good chance to actually improve playing the actual LCO games and scrims. A lot of the time I'd just be either watching scrims or maybe playing 30% of them or something. So I feel I'll improve a lot more, getting way more game time.
Mid.
I'm ulting. Akali?
Too far.
I'm dead.
Nice.
In the end, it's Kevy arriving just in time with the backup.
I think there are a few good junglers. I think Babib's pretty good, Harvard's alright, and Swaith is good as well.
Do you think you're one of the best junglers out there?
Yeah, it's in contention for the best jungler, I would say. So Chiefs probably are one of the best scrim teams, from all the teams I've played on. A lot of people get tilted versus them because they pick unconventional champs and just play the mechanics max and stuff, which I really like, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to versing them. I wouldn't say scared, I'm more excited, to verse Swaith. I think we both play really similar champs and have similar views on the game, so yeah, it'll be good to verse someone like that. There's a bit of a jungle gap, to be honest.
There you go. So a bit of a jungle gap, to be honest, as Kevy said so eloquently in that post-game from last week. Now, let's have a quick look over towards the side lanes. We do have Nat ready, so let's bring her back into the conversation. How you doing, Nat?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. So
they cut you out, Nat, and they brought you back in.
Yeah, I know. I was saying at the end of that Kevy video, I was like, oh man, they just cropped me out. They only care about Kevy. I wonder why.
Whoa. Well, it's all right. We all care about you, and we care about who you have for the pre-game interview. I think it's 2 handsome individuals today, right?
It is. I'm going to be joined by Draco and Maximize. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Draco, I want to know how the mental game is down in Chiefs, knowing that Order are undefeated so far in this split.
Well, it's the same as any other team. We didn't really think Order is sure, they're undefeated, but they had a pretty easy few weeks, like even us as well. But I guess we're 6k up on pace and we just lost. So that's one thing. Well, definitely they've improved, but you know, like Kevy's still like a budget swaif and their bot lane is not as great as ours. So I think we'll win.
Alrighty, and Max, I mean, first of all, any rebuttal to what Draku says, but as well, you know, is there any extra pressure that you guys feel to stay undefeated coming up against Chiefs?
Not really so much. I think, like Draku said, like our first 3 games were very much expected wins, so it's not like too crazy that we're 3-0 at this point. I think Chiefs as well, like, have improved a lot over the split. They probably improved the most out of any team. So I think today's match will be really, really close, and it will definitely be a good game.
What's going to be the game plan or the main focus for you guys to try and beat Chiefs?
Come on, you know I can't say that on interview. But you know,
I can
we
always
got
ask the question.
Yeah, okay. Well, we got some strong players who have some strong champions maybe that haven't been seen before, haven't been played yet in the LCO. So yeah, we'll see what we can bring out.
I'm going to ask you the same one, Draku. Maybe you'll give me a little bit of leaked info that we could pretend Maximize isn't here.
Well, if we just play like how we do in scrims, I reckon we'll win pretty easily. But like Order have improved as well, so I think it'll be close, especially if they have like a planned draft against us. But if it's just like normal default draft, I think we'll have a really easy chance, or like a really good chance.
Looks like the drafting phase as well. We'll keep our eyes. Now, I do have a bit of a question request from Rusty himself, and I want to make sure I get terminology right. He wants to know what your squatting, your deadlift, and your bench press numbers are. And don't lie.
Okay, well, right now, I am plateaued at 132.5 kilo bench. I can't get more than that. I tried 135 many times, and I've just failed. My squat is pretty bad. It's like 160 right now for like a rep. And my deadlift, I can give you like 170 right now. But my peak at all time was 200 when I was a powerlifter at 17. But now I'm just fat, so 170 is the best I can give you, Rusty.
I have them all laughing in my ears, but I'm glad Rusty, when I go back to him, he'll be breaking it down, all those numbers. Maximize, I also saw your tweet a little bit earlier before. How badly do you want DoorDash player that delivered? Like, how much are you gunning for that?
I just can't play another game where I am getting 18 assists and just sitting on mid wave and helping my team win. Like, sure, getting the W, but like it feels so bad. So I really want to carry a game, and hopefully that could be tonight.
It just might be. And the very last question that I'm going to ask both of you guys is, who do you think has the more expensive hair out of the two of you?
Okay, Maximize is the model here in the LCO. I'm just a rave guy who wanted to go silver hair. I'm just like the typical LB you find at the bar. But Max is an actual model, so probably his hair.
I mean, I know silver hair is like, I know dyeing hair and like bleaching hair is like pretty expensive from what I know. But like I went to like some sketchy Korean place to do my hair, and they were really expensive. So yeah.
Well, I think we'll have to chalk it up to a bit of a draw right now, but there will be one winner that comes out in the rest. So I'll let you guys go and get ready for that game. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Look, at the start of that interview, Draku came out of the gates looking for a fight, and then
He
Maximize was like, "Nah, I'm humble," and then Draku was like, "Yeah, I'll be humble too," and it just came back.
I thought it was just going to be pure wholesome, right? Draku started a little bit wholesome, and he kind of went for Kevy a little bit there, and then Max is like, "No, we're going to keep it nice and clean."
It feels a little bit unleashed from like Split 1, because I look at Split 1 Draku, and it was a complete change of 2020 end, right? Where he was just like, "Yeah, man, we're just gonna be humble. Like we're just scaling, we're powering up," and then it's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you know that's a budget sway." So I'm like, oh, okay. So there you go.
Okay, so we have a fascinating time for everyone here. It is time for the predictions, and you may notice that Jube's prediction will be empty, and that is because specifically he is allowing Twitch chat to choose his prediction. So the Twitch prediction will be Jube's prediction. He's allowing the people to choose for him today. And
I think it's whichever team has the most channel points bet on them, right?
Yeah.
Or place on them.
So apparently he has, from the love of his heart, you know, he's a very wholesome person.
what
He
we're
forgot to
saying?
do his predictions today, and chat gets to choose for him, so he didn't get to choose.
And remember that
unfortunately.
Juves won last split with predictions, so
He
I
did.
wouldn't
He
be,
went ahead. He was out of the
Yeah.
gates. So
wouldn't
far
be
ahead of us.
upset if you guys, as Twitch chat, tanked a little bit with the casino. That's all I'm saying. Like, if you
Coming
wanted
from the
to,
person who's in first place.
I mean, you got to recognize a threat, right? Real recognizes real, and he's still going to come for me, even with today.
Well, I was the only one that went for order. I thought that was a little bit surprising. I've liked what I've seen from them so far. I do think Chiefs, of course, are a very strong team, and I guess once we get into the game, we'll see exactly where allegiances lie, rather. I don't know. I'm on a sing. What's up? What's up? Oh, Phil, bring my single back. Bring my single back. What's up, guys? Hey, I'm chilling. Hey. Stop it. So, you have too much answer.
What is happening right now? Is this like speed dating of yourself?
Yeah, I was like, no, he's speed dating with chat. Max, like, I just want a little bit of a, single time, one-on-one with chat. Let's just forget there's 3 other people here. It's just you and me, chat. Just you and me.
We're just spectating love.
Real love.
Chat's
Unbelievable.
been real lovely. I think we also have that elfish on the shellfish in the works as well. It's cooking up in the kitchen, so might be able to see that after game number 1. But for now, that brings us one step closer to the game. What I'm hoping for Mboma's sake is we do see an Ez ban, because he was pleading for that yesterday. He was saying, I'm overplaying Ez. He wants to play different champs. So we'll see if that happens once we do get into the draft. So Maximize as well did mention that in the draft, they're going to be picking some first-time picks here for the LCO for this split. Any ideas on what that could be, Rusty?
Probably not at all. I mean, frankly, I would expect it to be in the hands of Kevy, but because they share champion pools, I would say he's the least likely to pick something different now. He'd be more likely to pick something that he shares in common with Swaith in terms of champions for draft. So I'm going to say Chungy. I'm just going to say Chungy.
I think Chungy too, because if you look at his match history, like the last time they went up against Chiefs, first game they picked Annie. And I think that was into Illusion because of like the auto attack range, if I remember correctly. And he's obviously played Galio yesterday, so he's got a little bit of variation in that back house. So if I can play melee, range, assassin support, whatever it may be. So if there's a bit of spice to try and throw Kiss off his game, I think mid lane's probably the area to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, LCO split to day 4, game 1 of the day coming up, and it's going to be a banger. Order versus Chiefs starting right now.
Beautiful. Here we go. Big game. We had the El Clasico last night, but this is a game that can try and understand how does it actually look? What is our top 4? What is our top 5? How do we break down the pack that falls behind? Pentanet, Peace, they still seem to be the top 2 dogs. But how do the Chiefs in order fare into that one? That is what we're going to be asking here today, and as just draft plays out, some questions and some answers will come about.
Absolutely will. Of course, we're already 5 bans into this one, Skimmy, and the first thing of note is that my Lulu mid lane is not going to be seen right now. But the big thing that stands out to me, I would say, is that the Chiefs themselves have banned the Lee Sin. If you cast your mind back to their prior games, right, Kisei's been a monster on the pick.
Yep.
It is surprising. And now you have to note that Lee Sin's gone, Set's gone, Nocturne's gone, as well as the Akali. So a lot of these bruisers that are playing top lane and mid are going to be taken off the board. This is a champion that can be picked right now, Skibby, and I am surprised to see it just straight up first picked, but it's quite strong at the moment.
Certainly is. Jules had a few words about it yesterday as to whether or not we would or would not see it, but here it is today. Bit of a rework and a chance for that to really shine. We've seen it in the past be played in top lane by Biopanther nonetheless, but it's going to be a case of we're going to try and throw a curveball towards the likes of Kevy now, if there is going to be a jungle mundo, and make sure they have some form of advantage to upset the drafting phase.
So many things are available right now, though, right? Like that often permabanned Renekton is up. Viego, as you would note, is still there. Gwen is obviously still available. I know that Violet threw the gauntlet yesterday and just said don't pick it because we all suck. But I still think Gwen's a great champion that teams will probably still try and pick. It would have surprised me if that was an Aatrox second when there are so many priority champions still available. Yeah. It would have been this odd force of a double flex. I was actually thinking, where a jungler or a bot laner makes sense there, we're probably not going to see anything done with the jungle role just yet, unless that Viego, which is something that Swaith can flex to the jungle, is being done also by Kevy.
Interesting times though, because we're going to get the creativity once again. The Emboma special, you can talk about the Ezreal being locked in, it's available, but he decides, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to start bringing mages back to the bot lane. We saw the Ziggs buff, we wondered if we'd have a Ziggs return there, but this is an old faithful, if you will.
I would like to see someone try and pick Ezreal into it, because like for one, in theory, yeah, you can press Q on his turrets and you'll take care of them easily, but you don't have any push then, right?
Yeah.
And a Heimerdinger is going to be constantly shoving you in. Now that's coupled with a Senna, they have the possibility of just permanent push and harass down in bottom lane.
Yeah.
They see that it's a Thresh as well, first of all, which may be one of the conditions where Emboma says it's on, because you can't throw hooks in lane anymore unless you have control of the bush with a sweeper maybe, because there's going to be turrets that he could place down in front of him at all times. This is an interesting third pick to go with it, however. Order throwing a gauntlet and saying that we can either engage through bot lane with the rest of this draft, or we can just weak side and farm up.
Yeah, it feels to me like they're trying to answer back with CC of their own, right? Be it either to try and slow down the advancement that the Chiefs will be making if they play towards that half of the map, or just utilize the arrow later on to find those key picks. Because if you look at what you can see here for the center, the root goes out, followed out by the guaranteed bomb, the satchel charge, everything just comes together. And it's a lot of burst on demand where one target just will fall on down within a global. So questions now being asked as to where Order go with this one. If that was their idea, that bot lane would find such an oppressive start. The Mundo, sure. That seems to be what's really got us scratching ahead so far. And what haven't truly revealed what their jungler is going to be just yet, because that Viego can still go multiple places.
Yeah, so Mundo, I think, is most likely going to be a top laner. I think whenever we have seen it, it has been put in top. Kind of gross at the moment as well. We'll get into more detail of Mundo as we load into the game, of course. But as this draft stands, you know, the Ashe being picked third often, you know, it's not going to get banned away. So they're just prioritizing picking their bottom laners, banning junglers, and presumably fourth picking a jungler here. Because they are giving the bans to Kevy to enable whatever pick he wants to play. Red side, of course, being fourth pick, getting that priority now. That's what I would like to see from them. And then that Viego being flexible between Chungi and Maximize could then be flexed for the counter pick in a solo lane.
Camille's going to be the final ban here. So Chiefs is keeping tab check on Maximize. If he wants to try and have that carry performance, if he wants to become the MVP this game around, it's a pick that he's very comfortable with and has shown a lot of expertise on in the past. If this game was to scale on up, which you'd imagine so, with the likes of Amundo and Senna already present in it, that would be the game plan. But the Ken and Evelyn, sure, Kevy's being one to play the Evelyn, but we know that Swaif is very proficient on those two as well. The Orianna, nope, it's going to be the Ari, so it's not too crazy or creative in the form of what we thought might have been the curveball here for the side of Order, but we do know what Ari can do, a charm and a lot of pain afterwards.
Yeah, it's in the wheelhouse, right, of Chungi champions. It isn't something crazy. This does say to me that the Viego is most likely going to be going to the jungler here of Kevy, which could be why those bans were there, just taking away comfort from Swaith. Could actually force him to a tank champion, which is what I'd be interested to see now is, like, one, can he play the Mundo jungle? We don't know yet. And let's just say it's going to live and that this is a Sylas mid. They've got two melee champions for something like the Sejuani. They don't really have any kind of crazy support 2v2, but they do still have very strong dueling 2v2 with a Xin Zhao chucked in. So just a lot of damage, right, from the Chiefs composition. Limited crowd control, but that's pretty much what you're used to seeing now, right? You've just got big, just meatballs running around in top lane, if possible. And now the rest of the team that stands behind that giant meatball is just high damage.
There is a lot of damage, because if it won't be a Camille, it's going to be a Fiora instead, so another fantastic champion at playing the split push, looking to try and get as many items as possible before they decide to group up with the rest of the team. I'm curious to see how this will fare into the matchup against this new Mundo, because that for me feels like a case of getting the Frostfire, getting the Warmogs, and basically saying, much like an Enchanter, you full build.
Partly true, right? But now you're against a Fiora. So you're against a champion that will just consistently... You're a health champion, and Fiora is a percentage health damage champion. You're going to have a bad time at a certain point. Even though the new Mundo like avoids all forms of crowd control, Fiora doesn't have any crowd control unless you do. So that's not going to be utilized in the kit. And again, I've been saying all of this with the assumption that it will be a top lane Mundo, and it has been confirmed through their draft. Max has picked something that I believe, Skimmer, he has played before in the LCO.
Yep.
I don't recall it winning, In fact, I don't recall a Fiora winning ever in the LCO, but it has potential in a matchup like this to be able to handle the Mundo and obviously outscale and provide a pretty significant win condition through split pushing.
I had to run back the stats there, Rusty, back into split 1. Yeah, only 1 game and a 0% win rate, so a champion that is incredibly niche. Definitely falls down the pecking order of all the other champions that are available, and only a few players can, significantly maximize its potential, no pun intended. But here we go. There is the draft, and there is the interesting curveballs thrown either way. We knew this was going to be a matchup where it should be, on paper at least, fairly even in similar areas. We put a big emphasis on the jungle position. Kevy's given us the Viego. Swaif is going to be playing the Xin Zhao. Those two in isolation, do you see any clear advantage? Because I see a lot of engage potential and a lot of ability to assist the CC AP mid laners.
Yeah, I'm looking at what ultimates Kisei can steal to be a pretty big factor here. You've got the Ahri ultimate, right, which is significant, can close a lot of distance. There's going to be some pretty hectic mobility-based 2v2s and skirmishes, and with how volatile it is, I expect that this is something that the Chiefs are comfortable with, right? They're a skirmish-based team, and already some early movements.
Some early movements indeed, as we get ourselves loaded in for the very first game of the day. A quick chance to check in with the coach of Order in Omo. Welcome back to the stream, mate. How have you been?
I've been doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for giving us your time. Quick question. So you look at this draft and you think, okay, they've gone for a first pick Mundo. We've seen a few wild things with people having their idea on what's strong. Was Mundo ever a thought in your brain?
Definitely not. We did not expect the first pick Mundo, that's for sure. So it kind of threw our draft a little bit off from there.
And obviously, congratulations on the fantastic start to the split. 3-0. It's looking really good with the changes you've made, with Kevy coming into the roster and looking strong in that regard. And a bit of a difference with some of the picks that you've played as a collective. Has there been any real conscious decision to say, let's give Kevy comfort and let's build around him? Or has it been much a case of, this is what we've been experimenting with during the off-season, during scrims, it's been working, so let's just stick with it?
I think it's a little bit of both. Kevy has some very strong opinions about what he finds strong and what he finds not so strong, despite what the meta might say. And while I might agree or disagree with some of it, I feel like Kevy does manage to back up his opinions pretty well in scrims as well as in stage performances. So we are pretty confident giving him what he wants and being able to draft around the picks which he wants to play.
And we said stylistically, we felt that both of these junglers had similar champion pools, similar ideas. How do you see this matchup going? Because obviously last night there was a big emphasis on banning out Kevy, forcing him to play Divide. Do you feel a lot more comfortable in this matchup, or do you feel like it's a case of 2 alphas and only one survive?
It's definitely the latter. It's going to be really good for us, or it's going to be pretty bad for us, one way or the other.
I'm excited to see how that one all plays out. And on a final note, I know it's been a hot minute since you last played these guys, but it was in playoffs. It was an 0-3 sweep against them. How much on a personal level does this game matter to try and send a message?
I mean, it's going to be a really long split. Realistically, if you think about it, we're feeling each other out a little bit. We're still testing things out at the start of the split. If you think about it realistically, it's not the highest stakes in terms of games. But,
sure.
Of course, if we want to send a message, our players want that bit of an ego boost to show that we can beat Chiefs.
At the end of the day, it's always going to feel good. Well, I appreciate your time, Omo, as always, mate, and wish you guys the best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, well, whilst that was going on, we didn't actually get cursed with a first blood or any kills just yet, but I did see a bit of action go down bot side.
Yeah, we had a level 2 gank bottom from the Xin Zhao, red to bot gank, as you do. There was a lot of early movements here as well. One thing worth pointing out is that there was a ward placed by Maximize that was instantly killed by Chiefs as they late invaded. And then on the bottom side, they were looking for an invade order in response to seeing where the Chiefs were. And they don't find a ward, they find a turret. One advantage that the Heimerdinger can provide in vision, right, at a level 1 skirmish. So nice little moves there from Chiefs, set play, you could call it, as it were, and results in a bot gank attempt. And it does get the summoner spells. You can see them missing on the side of Order. Flash is gone, but cost a lot of health and a lot of time from Swaith, who then has Kevy just barreling down the rest of the jungle, taking what he can, building up that advantage for himself. And it's already 5 jungle CS, will be the Gromp after here as well, and has his full red side to go back to. So this is a major advantage for Kevy right now and for Order through the jungle.
Yeah, and you can see more tempo expand in the mid lane as well, as Kisei was wanting to go for the recall, but Chungu would not allow that to happen. A big wave soon to crash with a cannon there to bolster things, and with biscuits in his pocket, he doesn't want to consume them if he doesn't have to, but Now he's going to try and step up to this wave, and Chungi, already level 5, has a level advantage over him, is very close to lethal. Well, doesn't have the ignite, but that's not going to bother him because Electrocute should just be enough. And now you're finding tempo in all the right places.
Yeah, he's gone for the more skirmishing type of rune in mid lane here as well. It's not going to be a Comet where you just throw a Q and do a little bit of extra damage casually here and there. It's much more about if Kisei comes at me, I want to win this trade. So ultimately, of course, if you're a Silas into an Ahri, it's pretty difficult to make those trades happen early. You use your chains. They've just got a charm anyway, so you can't actually follow that one up and try and dash towards them. You're going in a predictable straight line. Kind of in the Ahri wheelhouse in terms of how that 1v1 goes until 6, right? Where things start to shift around and you can actually have 3 dashes yourself. And just thinking about, first of all, how these junglers have been interacting with the rest of the map, it makes a lot of sense that mid would be sitting back and just playing a bit weaker, getting pushed in, right? There is so much of a threat of a Viego with the advantages that he has built up for himself that Kisei does have to respect. And one of the things, Skimmy, as well, in top lane, during the interview, we're seeing a lot of top lane interactions with how this Mundo trades. And the Blunt Force Trauma, his E, basically, think of it as the same as the old E, right? But
yeah,
hold that thought. We won't hold that thought.
We're holding.
We will.
We will continue. We'll be basically all being baited by this one. Oh, Chungi going for a bit of an ego check right here, showcasing some mechanics. He jumps in, hits the orb, but he takes him down. Level 6 is there. Does he have the mana to try and juke and drive away from this one? He does! He misses the chains. Here comes Viego. And Chungi, that was beautiful.
Okay, Chungi again. Oh, hang on. Is it?
Oh my gosh.
He's clean.
He just does not miss. But Kisei does! Kisei's still looking for it! He's still looking for it. The Hex Slash across the wall. He's going to come in and get punished like you just would not believe. And Chungi baits you once. He baits you twice. And Kisei wasn't having any of it.
Kisei has decided to ego check in the jungle. Hits level 6. Gets the ult. Flashes to get the ultimate. And Chungi just flashes away.
Wow.
And Kisei, instead of just saying, well played, I'll back away, commits into all of order. And now he just dies for it. That is... Look, I'm not saying he's tilted, but that is a tilter. It's not something you ever want to do. And that results in a 2-0 start as the kills go for order, with jungle still having that advantage and mid having had priority most of this time. Things playing out very nicely here.
It felt like a bit of an emotionally inspired play. The fact that, Chungi, why did you step up to me like that? And why did you make that play when we were expecting you to disengage away from it?
Yeah,
I
can't believe you've outplayed me in front of my face.
That's it. And you've taken down my jungler. How dare you? Unbelievable. But that's what you love to see. That's how these players develop personality and get fans in chat to try and hype up them as a result. And, well, there you go. So early on, Order already with 2 kills to start this game off.
I'd be pretty comfortable, Skimmy, without the personality trait of ints if my jungler gets outplayed, but I respect the initiative. It's definitely a killer instinct that we like to see from these young players. Just definitely one of those moments, right, where it shouldn't have happened, but unfortunately did. And as the dust settles, it is still a comfortable position as Swaith is getting annihilated by Baby Krugs.
Certainly is, and it's one of those things, right? Obviously super hard to quantify, but the fact is Swaith went for the early gank down bot side. He commits a flash, takes out 2. You could say that gives advantages for their bot lane to continue to push for free without any pressure of a flash gank lantern, whatever that may be. But Kevy, with that vision, was able to get such a strong lead, and up by 10. He was up by, say, 20 before. He's going to hit 6 first, as it would seem, and command the jungle to surely just deploy to an objective first.
And Puma actually choosing to use that Hawk shot towards the Rift Herald. I think Order may have intended, you can see of course Beats rushing those boots of mobility, trying to perhaps get up there to contest. They aren't looking to trade objectives, I think, as a result of this call. They're going to try and get the Herald as fast as possible and then rotate back down towards bottom. You can see that Beats is going to move fast and early here as well. But I don't think they'll necessarily get there in time unless they utilize the mid priority that they've had permanently and just walk towards it to check, because they would have just found Swaith by himself.
Yeah, no, they definitely know. So there's already a ward down. It may just be out of vision, but Mboma's revealed the Hawk shot too. It's all the guarantees that they'll need. The Herald has already been picked up. The Smite goes out. There's no punishment unless he runs up this way and Kevy spots him out. He's going to look for the 1v1 trade right there. Charging up the stun, dashing on in, followed that by the charm. Everything coming together right now. Swift has to hit the ultimate. You have to get him outside that inner circle. He's dashed away and then flashed away, but it still falls on down. His soul has been taken.
add insult to injury, deja vu in mid lane, he falls down again.
Yeah, I think that was just really good pathing from Kevy more than anything else. Doesn't get spotted crossing through towards that bush. And, you know, Swaith unsuspecting straight into the jaws of the waiting opponent here of this Viego. And Kevy locks him down. Nice little follow-up from Chungy as well. And while it was a good flash from Swaith, right, the Viego ultimate doesn't find him. They still have the follow-up. The cooldowns had it refreshed. And they're able to get themselves a third kill on the board. And actually, at this point, start to build a meaningful gold difference 9 to 10 minutes into this one. With Herald in hand, Skimmy, that could very easily be summoned to continue breaking mid lane wide open.
Certainly could be. And you can see it from there. Huge gold lead right now in favor of Chungy. Kill to his name, 2 assists, and 92 CS as well. Going to be part of that 100 club in just a moment's time. And with leads like that, you're rushing towards that very first mythic item and able to unlock the map, roam, and just add a little bit more. And in terms of where they're going to be looking for, well, we talked about the Ashe from the drafting phase, and whilst it might not look too pretty in terms of laning, they're keeping it competitive, only down by 10, but there is the real threat of just showing up bot lane and just running it back with the double CC.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think looking at things the Chiefs can do overall right now, they're probably looking to deal with the Herald being summoned soon. Top lane is just playing fairly weak-sided. If you were Max, just dealing with the fact that Amundo's pushing, not a lot he could do. And we saw some trades earlier pretty much going heavily towards the way of Liv. Nice little lantern, thankfully, with Swaith and Kisea here. And they're gone.
Goes up, he was down to 100, so he wanted no part of that, but the rotation does mean that the Herald gets summoned. The plate's already gone, so that's going to be a complete charge to destroy the very first turret of the game. If they were fed before, these two are like monsters now. Swaith is being called out again, another ultimate, but he's already been chomped, so he can't actually utilize it to full effect. And we said it would be a jungle matchup that should give us some spice, and Swaith's not having a good time so far.
Yeah, he's definitely not. Swaith has been beaten up consistently here. Pretty much had his measure the entire game, right? And Order are doing this with just the two-man unit, really, more than anything else. There's been hawk shots thrown around. There was the, Thresh showing up at one point to try and capitalize on Kise's over-aggression. But really, it's just Swaith walking into Kevy on cooldown, and Kevy always being in the right place at the right time, just 5-head pathing. And this jungle difference is very noticeable right now and is giving Order the exact win condition that they're after, right? Because they still have the potential of split pushing from Maximize. They still have a Fiora that can go to a side lane. But you have to be strong elsewhere on the map for that to even be considered as an opportunity to actually win the game. But right now, so far so good.
So far so good. And this will be what we pretty much predicted, right? A really good test as to understanding what a team like Chiefs would look like when they do get pushed, when they do have to start playing from behind, because as it stood, they've had a good chance up against Peace. They've run out to 42 minutes into that one. You heard from Dragon before, a 6k gold lead, so happy days for them there, but up against Mammoth and Legacy respectively, they've had good times there as well. So now a chance for them to say, all right, we're playing from behind. Swaith's not had the best of starts. It is a Xin Zhao where you want a really good start, leading, levels 1 through 9. How does he, or how do they as a collective now look to try and bounce back? Because you're looking at Maximize topside, he's quite content just to play at this pace, and sure, Mboma and Draco are saying, well, sure, we can scale, but we would much rather not be in this position.
So every time I go to say something about what it is the Chiefs could do, they pretty much immediately die, and I don't think we even have time to consider it right now, as there was already pathing from Chungy and Kevy towards the bottom, so the pressure has continued. But if we were to say, what is it that the Chiefs can utilize? Again, it's only 2 to 3k. Like, it is not a game over amount of gold difference. It's just a really tragically behind Xin Zhao, who, for what it's worth, still scales surprisingly well. Hold that again.
Here they come again. They're already bunch. Ooh. Well, it's going to be hard to use that one. Steals away the ultimate, can use disengage away from. But wherever these two go, you just know that there's a kill in the air.
Yeah, just using the Ari ultimate to get away. I don't think he wanted to use his chains, perhaps, or just reactively use that Ari ult just to get that cooldown gone. Bot lane tower is going to fall here, and this does open up a world of possibility.
Yeah, they may just get punished for this one right now. Mboma in no man's land, a 4-man collapse as TP's coming through. Maximize going to jump into the fray, I think, as well. He's going to go for a kill of his own, pops the ultimate and pops everything to guarantee that he's got a kill to his name. Double Divine Sunder is there, strong. They found 2. And whilst that bot lane was built to be annoying, it's been destructed here today.
This has been really disappointing, if I'm going to be really honest so far, from the Chiefs. They will break the turret. That one felt like a tactical int more than anything else. They'll get the turret. They're also going to break top lane, or at least do a lot of damage to top lane because of the teleport. Maximize now walking back up to top now. New Mundo has a lot more wave clear, right? Using that E to actually push through minions as you last hit, doing 100% bonus AD through that line. So you can actually wave clear pretty well. We'll see this one more time. Quite simply, it is an Ash Arrow straight into the noggin. Emboma says, I am dead. Dragu tries to leave him, but just gets flashed on and gets taken down also. And a good teleport, really, from both Chungy and Maximize to secure that, and the Dragon. It's timed well. They're in the right place at the right time. The objective belongs to them. It is Chiefs, right, who are the ones who have overstayed their welcome, and I think they know that in this case, which is why I called it attack in for the turret.
Weird times here, Rusty. 15 minutes into this game, and it's Order that, quite rightfully so, find themselves up by 1,500 gold. Item advantages have been found there as well. They're able to guarantee that the second Dragon goes their way, most likely then looking for another Herald back off this reset. They've got plenty of damage to boost right now, and I'd be very scared if I was Chiefs even looking to try and contest that. Flawless game so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 turrets and a Drake. Is still pretty big, though, for the Chiefs. Just in terms of kills, it is still, so far, definitely perfect for them. 400 gold shutdown onto the Ahri as well, but thankfully still has Flash. So in terms of getting that extra money, nice try, Kevy. That was 1 HP off. In terms of getting that money, there is a lot of potential for Chiefs. In terms of the picks that they have, I think that they have some of it when they put a Senna and a Heimerdinger into mid lane. I don't think we necessarily compare that to someone like an Ashe and an Ahri, but it exists. And ultimately, we have a Mundo, right, that is going to hit a point. And I assume that Mundo in his current form, similar to the old Mundo, becomes unstoppably large once he gets to like 2 major items and level breakpoints.
Yep.
That's something that you could be looking forward to if you're the Chiefs, perhaps team fighting around that fact. Setting up at objectives first, definitely something that they would want to do. But it's weird that I feel like I'm grasping at straws, and the major reason that I'm feeling this way is because the players of the Chiefs just seem like they're not in it today.
Not sure what's happened in the last 24 hours, hey, but it's not been the start they would be after, no doubt about it. And it almost feels like now, if you call out Kevy, he will deliver. You can ban his champion's way, he'll pick Vi, make it look clean, make it look good, make it look meta. And then if you call him a budget swaif, then he'll look to try and deliver and take him out of the equation as well. Going topside now, Kisse once again stealing away the Ahri ultimate and using it to disengage. Lanes have been flipped now as both top laners find themselves towards the bot half of the map, where Lived finds a destroyed turret already amidst the rest of his team, who are looking to try and back him up, but with the second Herald being summoned by Order, they're looking to even the odds here.
So this should just be another turret. At the end of the day, the Chiefs aren't even considering going to this area of the map at all. You've got the Silas, who's pretty much impossible to kill, right? When the matchup is an Ahri, they just both take the ults, and you know, there's no chance that Kevy sees 2 champions just having an anime fight with their 78 dashes and teleporting everywhere and thinks to himself, I could keep up with that. There's just no world. So you just let them go. Like, they just have their own little circus, all right? They can have their own arc over there. You go help the rest of the team. And this is, like, I think we have to draw attention to this, Skimmy. Lived is handling the Fiora with no issues at all.
Yeah.
We are hitting that point, right, where we've got our first mythic spikes. This will continue, you would assume, to get worse for Lived, right? It's a percentage damage item with a champion that has percentage damage from the passive true damage procs as well. I can't see a Mundo continuing to win, but every time we look there, it feels like Chiefs are playing around the Mundo, and there's no way Maximize has been able to play towards a win condition of a split push. Order aren't playing around it either.
No, Chiefs looking to try and bounce back for their first little kill of the game. They're going to go on towards Kevy, but he has a lantern to safety. The team were there, ready to back him up. The next Dragon, the Ocean Soul, it's there to play for. It's going to be up in 30 seconds, and that was a bit of an invitation there for the Chiefs to try and set things up. Obviously very important with a Heimerdinger to not only lay down vision, but guarantee time for the turret to be set up too. They won't find their first kill of the game just yet.
I'm really looking forward to Lived against like Pete's and Pentanet again. I think that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
In terms of like his latest stats. How good is he actually as being a laner right now? Because I've been impressed day after day just watching Lived.
Yeah, me too. And his build's a little bit against the grain because, you know, typically I've seen likes of Grass build followed up by a Sunfire. Hold that hold for 2 seconds because the member's being caught out of position right now. Swathed again. That might be his 4th death of the game. A shutdown goes away against him. It's going to be Kisse that picks up that kill. Maximizes the one that took down Swathed, and now it's the Chiefs looking to find more. A 2nd kill found their way. A double for Kisse. He'll be happy about that one. There's no denying that fact.
That is a 0-4 Xin Zhao that gets engaged on. And guess what, Skibby? He just swings his spear around and cannot be targeted. And suddenly the Chiefs have so much time bought by that, trying to execute the Xin Zhao, that they're able to actually get 2 picks for themselves, right? Making sure that Viego dies before he gets any resets is effectively winning the team fight. And we'll see this here again, right? Because Kevy does get pushed away, comes back into the fight, and then Kisse goes onto him, and they lock him down and get the kill, and Boma damage there as well, just before he's able to get a reset. And that basically secures it here. Chiefs able to get themselves a skirmish. You want to say against the grain, but it has felt like the Chiefs have had a full read and handle of the map pretty much at all times, barring Swathed being caught off cooldown.
Yeah, and it feels like at this stage of the game, Swathed Xin Zhao is much more akin to a Malphite or a Shen, where it's not there to be a threat, but just more so to be a nuisance. The base kit alone is enough to try and be annoying, and you know, you've got the range advantage to charge on through the guaranteed knock up the ultimate, as you highlighted, to remove and soak up damage. Going for the Gore Drinker on this occasion, so just wants to live for as long as possible to allow the rest of the team to clean up like you saw in that previous exchange. Blue buff will successfully be stolen away. 2nd time's the charm. It was Kevy looked at the 1st time, and this time it isn't a case of missing it by inches. He does guarantee it.
Definitely does. Just kind of looking at the next thing on the map here as well. With 4 minutes till the Dragon, teams will probably try and deploy around Baron buff itself down the top side river more than anything else. And I think the most important thing within that is how they play around their mid lane priority. Because Mboma can clear waves, yes, but he's not running cleanse. It is Dragku that has the cleanse. So usually you would have to kind of want Dragku to be there with Mboma so that he can safely clear wave, or an enchanted crystal arrow might just come straight down mid-barrel towards his noggin and they get a pick themselves, right? That's the difference here, I think, between Chiefs and Order, is that at any moment you've got a Thresh and an Ashe that can team up pretty successfully, you would have to say, to try and generate picks and give themselves an advantage on the map.
Yeah.
So the vigilance has to be there from Mboma. And the reason that he has to be so vigilant is because I don't expect Dragku to constantly be holding his hand, right? He is a support player who will most likely be moving with his jungler to try and establish those areas of control with warding.
Areas of control warding in areas of control that allows Liv to find some more moments of magic, because once again it's Kisse looking to try and jump on in, pretending that he's the Ahri on this occasion, pops the Everfrost, locks in place Beats, who drops his ultimate to prevent any further aggression. No one will fall on down, but Puma did have to burn his cleanse.
Yeah, just kind of dissipates more than anything else. Just a little bit of health taken away. The single summoner spell teleports weren't committed to assist that one either. So overall, quite non-committal. But now Order are fully grouped up around this mid lane area, except for the 2 people you expect to see split pushing. Swathed just nasty.
Looking for it again, aren't they? Yeah, Swathed so low once more. He's zoned out, needs to go life leech off some of these camps, but he has nothing, at least in the near vicinity. He had to roam towards bot side, and that means you're treading dangerously, because you'll be getting closer to this Fiora, which is fast approaching that 2nd item at that point. Very real possibility to take the 1v2.
We're at a stalemate, aren't we, really? You know, Order have the gold advantage. They have a 3-0-3 mid, they have a 2-0 Fiora, who's going to just split push the pants off the rest of this game, you would expect, but it's all been handled fine until right now.
Yeah, they've heard your words, they've heard, and they've decided to try and make something happen, but knowing that multiple members are in the area, running towards them to try and make it an unfair fight, the way you look at it.
And Fiora has been hard countered, Skimmy, by walking away. The classic, it's the timeless strategy. Hasn't failed him yet.
Gentleman's agreement.
That's it. Is that corporate Mundo, by the way?
It is.
It is. Have you seen the home guard animation from Corporate Mundo? I'm bringing awareness to this for everyone, including the observers.
Not.
If he recalls and there's no fighting, please show it. Because
Is he in a car?
So good. Yeah, it's a big man in a small car.
I think I may have seen it then. It's a good one. I liked his new profile picture as well, the little portrait where it references his previous version of the skin, yeah?
Maybe the best skin in the game. And the swag walk, that's the most important part.
Let's see if business is good for the Chiefs so far, because they're down by 3k, but looking to try and make that a number that works in their favor. Kisei went in, but he goes low. He's going to flash away to safety, then turns around with the no-scope, hits the ultimate, locks in place, jumps across the wall, life bleaches and secures the kill on towards Kevy. That was beautiful. The ego check, only 25 minutes delayed. He finds it now. And it does appear to be a 1-for-1 with both junglers the casualty.
Now, let it be known, Kisei does not fail 2 ego checks in a row. The second one is going to be successful for them. Chiefs, Mundo ultimate back up and ready as well. Still has not been used through that fight, and they're just going to go over here and take themselves the 3rd Drake of the game, uncontested, after winning a small skirmish. I mean, Kisei definitely with a hero play. Yep. The reinforcements were good from the rest of Chiefs, however. The skirmish, the team fight was good. And this is one of those things, right? Like, we have a Mundo team fight versus a Fiora team fight. Very hard to say that I would want to be team fighting with the Fiora if I could help it over something like the Mundo, and that's why I'm not going to say I'm massively surprised with the outcome of that, but it is still requiring of an outplay from Kisei to make that work at all.
100%. And we're going to run it back with a replay. It appears to see how this all starts. So Kisei goes in, obviously gets very low, but just manages to frame the stopwatch at the end.
Yeah, and I think the ult was just a little bit early from Kevy also. Nice little enchanted crystal arrow from Kisei that he stole prior. I note that it has been used even though the icon is there, and of course being able to hit the W afterwards when you are very low, healing extra, and a monster, Silas, who just barely... Oh, hang on.
Kevy forced to burn the ultimate to dash away. Really caught out. Still junglers hunting for this one. Swaif angered. 0-5, not a scoreline he's too familiar with, but nonetheless is still keen to rock and roll and find pressure with the rest of his team. And as much as you talk about the differences between this revised Mundo and this Fiora, feels like there is going to be another case here where Order do have to fight because the Chiefs have started up the Baron.
Teleport force from Chunky here as well. The fight will happen.
The arrow onto one. It's only been the Draku. He had the cleanse, probably the worst one of the bunch right now. They're not going to back away from the Baron just yet. It's down to 50%, getting lower and lower.
Nice hook.
The Order are split. They're going to catch on towards Swaif again. Dawning Shadow goes out, locks in place members to shield, the mitigation, the prevention. Swaif looking to try and spin to win and survive. A double kill once again from Kisei. They pushed forward. They went towards the 4-man. Fiora, maximized, never even got an invitation to join from the flank. But he knows that 2 members are very low, so he might just have an invitation to try and make something happen, but he's unsure whether or not to stick around in this brush or go for the push in top lane.
So teleport is available for Kisei. He's going to use that to a prior setup control ward, which means that Chunky should have no way into this fight, and it would be just maximized against 4 members strong. Not ideal at all for Order if they wanted to contest this Baron. So it will just be taken down easy as you like, and Chiefs have turned the game on its head. Very nice start from Order in regards to their skirmishes. But it wasn't the skirmishes that determined the outcome of this one. It has been the full team fights and the big macro calls overall. And, you know, once again, Zhao is the one who gets caught, but Kisei is the one who has 70 million dashes because he gets the Steel Ari ultimate and just lock down the rest of this team fight. And, you know, nice stopwatches at the very end to make sure that Chungy gets nothing back in return. And that's a Baron buff Chiefs that should just be able to push a couple of turrets down, hopefully through mid.
Well, it took a while, Rusty. 28 minutes for Chiefs to finally catch up with the gold that had gone against them for what you can only really put down to a bit of a disastrous early game on a few individual accounts. No doubt for them. They've showcased the caliber, the level of growth from Split 1 to 2, the ability to not feel too tilted or disjointed, the discipline to know what the overarching game plan is. We still have scaling. We're still able to deal with this Fiora in the side lanes. This Mundo is huge. Let's just group up. Let's punish their weakness whilst the Ari is strong and whilst Kevy is finding success. We're not going to be deterred by the fact that Zhao isn't having the best game so far, and now they are on the front foot. They have the Baron buff. They're hunting for kills. They're going to dash straight on towards Kuma. A cross-map arrow. The bot lane of Chiefs are just not there. Now it's going to be a numbers disadvantage. A 2v3. Liv is still running. Maximize finds the reset with his ultimate. And he's got a lot of damage right now. Beats looking for the hook underneath the tower, but Kisse looking for the resets of his own, looking for sustain. It's an enchanted bomb. Flies across the wall, but everybody by that point had disengaged away, and Chiefs, they find themselves another 1-for-1.
Is it a concussive grenade, Skibby? It's the enchanted bomb that was thrown out? I think it is. I'm not actually too sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, what's a 0-6 in Zhao in the scope of this game, right? As long as Kisei's the one who stays alive and gets the kills, then things are going great for the side of Chiefs. And yet again, number disadvantage doesn't matter at this point. And I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What has Fiora done to win this game? Just as a pick.
Well, I mean, it feels to me more like a comfort of Maximize at this stage, right? Sure, he's managed to play in the side lane, and he'll be hoping that he can continue to play the side lane, but once again, I just feel like Liv's build and his adaptation on this Mundo has given him a few headaches.
Fine answer. Lived is about to find 2 of them, and they could be caught here, actually. So I might hold my next question. See.
The CC. Don't mind that too much. Applies his passive to get a few health canisters.
All right, my next question, Skibby. What has Ashe done as a champion to win this game at all?
Well, there's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there's the Enchanted Bomb, bit of a play on words, but there goes the arrow this time. And it does mean that it can get stolen away. There's the Dragon, that prevents Chiefs from getting Soul Point. There's beautiful. And there's your answer, more so than anything. Now it's a 1v1 biff between these two junglers. Swathe actually has a GA and 11 advantage despite being 0-6. They're going to go for the 1v1, but then Kisse says enough is enough. I'm going to jump in and KS this one. I'm now 7-1, and I'm the real hero in this Cinderella story.
Yeah, it just comes in and says, enough of that, children. The fight's not meant to be taking place here. Kisse comes in 7-1 with his 3 items. Darksteel stacks at 10 as well. May even switch to a Medjai's at this point, because why not? He is an absolute unit running around. And Swathe just shaking the hands of his teammates and saying, I'll do what I can, but you still have to carry me at the end of the day. And so far, it has been pretty successful overall. Chungy.
He was caught. He had to flash there. Another option. Would have been dead. A lot of damage was coming his way. And it just feels like, in the mid to late game, this game's got away from order here. A few decisions, a few skirmishes where trades have been found, but with the advantage they have, they'll be scratching their head.
Yeah, Max now going to try and deal with Kisse in bot lane as well. If anyone can, you would expect that it'd have to be a 3-0 Fiora with the 3 items and heal cut to boot purchase. So it's not going to be an easy life in this 1v1, but Chiefs aren't going to make sure it is a 1v1 at all. They're actually going to be playing towards this turret. Being that it's an inner turret as well, it should be pretty easy for them to take. I wouldn't expect them to go for anything beyond this inner, however, with Baron gone. They'll most likely take this and reset towards the Baron unless they're really feeling themselves. You know, we get another Kisse highlight reel attempt. But that's all I would expect to see from them so far. And try as they might, Order, they're just not really finding a way in to hit these team fights. And, you know, I think the main point that I wanted to take away from my question, Skimmy, is I'm just not sure on this draft at all. I just don't necessarily see a way that this draft is objectively winning us. Look at it. Oh, it's so good.
There you go.
Go back.
Picks up your team, takes you to your destination, and doesn't give you a surcharge fee. It's pretty good. He's looking happy with that one. Soon to get himself 300 CS. If we had a quick insight there onto Draku as well, stack check on the center, 142 stacks, so well and truly online. Now Kisse's in trouble. He's got a 700 gold bounty. There's a lot of gold that could go against him. He can't disengage and find a member to jump to. But he's going to try and use the Ari instead, and unbelievable amount of distance. That was cross-country running if I've ever seen it. We're at the Olympics.
Yeah, this is what we said earlier, right? You can try and take down the Sylas, but if the Ari is there and he's able to steal the ultimate away from Ari, maybe even wants a Banshee's Veil at this point if you're Chungy, just to stop the Magician from pulling out that magic and the escape tricks happening left, right, and center. But once again, Kisse does it, pulls the rabbit out of the hat, and a 1v4, I believe, with an Ashe arrow thrown out in there as well. So 4 champions, 5 ultimates available, and just dashes away.
TP used as well. So much thrown towards this man to get that 1k bounty. A lot of gold to try and swing the balance back in Order's favor. But Chiefs have been happy with the pace of this game. Sure, the early game, we've hopped on about it. But as far as mid to late game, where the real money is found, that's what they're playing towards. He's got the swag walk, I see what you mean.
How good's the walk?
He's strolling towards the second Baron of this game.
And Baron pretty easy to start here. You would expect if Lived is the one tanking it. The rest of the Chiefs will take some damage from it. Sway's pretty tanky overall, actually, though, with his W and the life steal that he gains. Ash Arrow can't be used onto Lived, and it cannot be used onto Dragcoop.
They're just going to run it back again like this. Rusty is going to collapse to the right-hand side back towards mid lane. Zone away Maximize. They had the vision with the Scry Azor. They forget about him completely. They've removed Beats once more. Make it a 5v4. Look for Kevy as well. The route connects. He looks to use the ulti to try and dash away, but it just does not matter because Swaith can travel through space and timing guarantee Kisei another kill because he is legendary. And there was a time in this game when the scoreline said 6-0 for Order, but now it's 10 kills to 9.
We just prop your mid laner up on a pedestal and let him Mechanics Max protect the Silas as he does all of the work. You don't even need to protect him when he's got Ahri ultimate. He just covers cross-country distances like you mentioned. Baron going to be secured here pretty easily. Ash Arrow thrown. Is this the fight they choose to take?
They want to try and zone him in the pit, but a respawn and a recall and a TP in from Liv there zones him away. A flash across the wall to try and hit the cleaver. Guarantees onto Puma. Lock him in place. How can you play the game when you have no dash, when you have no flash? We have no chance to do anything. He had it, but it sounded good, but he didn't use it.
Yeah, that poor guy just gets run down slowly but surely from Corporate Mundo. And that's just the business that you have to deal with here if you're an Ashe into a Mundo at this point in the game. The cleanse is fine, but it's only stopping the slow. And now Ocean Soul, all but confirmed, unless Kevy tries to pull out some Herculean effort, just not going to be able to get there in time. And here we go again.
Here we go, the 1v1 you've all been asking for. He didn't get it against Liv, but he's going to find it this time against Kisei. And Boma wants something to say about it once again. Try and make it a 2v1. The Dawning Shadow locks him in place, pads him down just a fraction lower. He's got 500 HP. He does have a flash too. The Kisei has stolen his ultimate. Now walking into the wilderness blind. He gets the turn upon him. He's looking for the vitals, but he gets shut down again. 9-1 and 2. Somebody called an ambulance, but not for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Ocean Soul there, it's no longer a fair fight. And then Mboma just starts throwing grenades from over the corner there as well. So there wasn't really a lot that Maximize was going to be able to do in that skirmish. This does mean that, of course, Chiefs with Baron in a 4v5 situation should just be able to readily push. And even the teleport being used from Kisei towards mid to try and stop any kind of pushes and continue their wave control to be closer to synchronized. Slate. Walk away. Happy little accidents from the Xin Zhao all game.
Just zoning. Tactical right there. It appears, Rusty, that 3 lanes are being pressured right now. As this really is a show check of, we've got Baron, we've got Ocean Soul. How do you engage? This is the ultimate ego check.
Just give me there's nothing that they could do now. You've got 20 stacks on a Silas with the death cap completed. I don't think 3 people is enough to deal with Kisei in his current state. And that's the problem, because everyone else is pushing. And Kisei is just dealing with 3 of them in mid, just staunching them and stopping them from going to help the rest of the map. And now Chiefs collapse around that, and what can they do?
Big question. Second inhibitor has now portal on down. And that's Kisei once again looking for the 10th kill of this game. He finds it. Ego's golden again. The stopwatch provides it. The Zhonya's is clean, and it's a double kill now to try and get Mboma involved on the score sheet. They're going to look to try and end this one because the respawn timers are high. Maximize, split push all you like. He just hasn't really had the invitation to find that value or contribute too much in these team fights. Always run away from. And for the Chiefs, they'll be happy about this end result. It wasn't the best early game, but they've taken it to 38 minutes and they've closed it out with a victory.
Yeah, it ends the way exactly that they would want it to, right? You've got everyone on the map doing very well overall, barring the scoreline, of course, of their jungler. But Chiefs, I mean, it felt like a comprehensive victory in the end, but you have to remember how it started. And it was shaky as Draku leans right in, by the way, during game as we're now noting. But look, Order, we have to give them props for the first maybe 10 minutes of the game, and then it just kind of stagnated. Nothing occurred, and that was with like a 2,000-3,000 gold advantage. They weren't taking any opportunities to be proactive, and I guess we have to say how much of that is credited to the compositions, because the Ash Arrows weren't necessarily able to do anything, and they couldn't deal with this Silas.
They certainly couldn't, and Mac, I'm sure if you're a Xin Zhao in that game, you're definitely typing in all chat, easy, GG, or me.
Yeah, probably. I feel like that would be the appropriate response. It's one of those things as well. I watched Kisei go very, very aggressive, and I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those limit testing games in that first 1v3 in the blue side jungle, or bot side blue. And it was just interesting. But after that, he hit a 0-1 power spike, and then everything was just uphill for the Chiefs. So Kisei really just going absolutely nuts this game. Maybe stealing a kill or two in throughout the mix. But look, he was having a good time. He was having a very good time. I felt so confident with my order prediction at the first, 10 minutes. I was like, this is easy.
I was nervous. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah. And then it sort of just went downhill. And I did notice all the things that you were talking about, Rusty, certainly were real, What has X done for this game? Not much. What has X done for this game? Oh, yeah, look, he's right. Rusty really is the analyst on the desk here, isn't he?
Yeah, they didn't do a lot back, and I do think that the draft drawing board is something they may want to return to. It was pretty difficult to play their comp out once they lost the control that they had. There was a lot of pick, but they never got enough damage for execute. And
yeah.
I think the Thresh support could be something more like a Leona. It might have actually helped their comp a little bit more. Or you go the Tahm Kench route, right? If you're going to play with a Fiora that needs to sit in a side lane, the other 4 or 3 with like an Evelynn jungle for Kevy have to be able to survive and play the map themselves. And it felt like constantly they were trying to team fight and bring Max in, and he was just watching. He was just in the grandstand.
We had 2 exact same Baron fights, right? He was always in the top lane brush, looking to try and get himself in, and all would go their way. And the Chiefs would just say, well, forget about the Baron dance. Let's just completely commit towards them in the mid wave and force a fight. And both fights happened the exact same way with a victory as a result. So I'm sure Maximize is going to be upset that whilst he was strong, or whilst he was getting those items and CS and all the rest of it, he just wasn't able to find value on either foot.
Yeah, it just seemed like what they said at the start, what Omo was saying in that interview was, drafting around Kevy. So obviously Kevy wanted to play the Viego there. And how did all the other picks work with Viego? Because yes, it looks like, you're going for that pick potential, maybe getting the charm, maybe getting the hook, and then trying to get the pick-offs. And it worked for the first 10 minutes. But then after that, what was there in terms of the team fights? It seemed like nothing was going in favor of Order. Chiefs were just always there, always playing together, and just seemed to have a much better comp. In what world does that draft work, Rusty, is kind of what I'm trying to lean towards.
You have to look at your opponents as well, though. So I think that's a fair question. But like the game plan is literally play pick and get resets for the Viego, and then Viego just wins games, right? Wins team fights. He's just an insane champion with those resets. But you have a cleanse on Senna. You have a Zhonya's building for Heimerdinger for Emboma. You have a Zhonya's in mid lane. You have a Mundo that can't be hit by crowd control, and there's no crowd control in his lane, so you can't Asher or Ahri charm that person. And then your jungler just spins his spear around, right? Like Xin Zhao can't take damage after they've engaged on him. So I think that was just a really tragic draft for them to deal with, which, to be fair, kudos to Chiefs for their draft.
I think they were kind of hoping, given the disastrous early game that Swaif happened, I think they were hoping that he would just fall over and be like, well, I'm tilted, I'm not the star of the show anymore, right? But he built the Gore Drinker, built the GA, those was only 2 items. He realized his role in the game was literally just to bait out damage, hit the ultimate Zona all away and say, well, if I die, cool, like, you got to deal with the rest of my team, and that's exactly what they had to deal with, right? Because Kisei just got to show that you can mechanics max me once, but I won't let it happen twice, right?
Yeah, definitely not. And Kisei really put his foot down. Speaking of mechanics, Nat, you're pretty good at League, right? You wanna tell us how great your mechanics are in this game?
I think they're okay. Probably not in comparison to anyone sitting next to me on this panel here.
Hey,
but,
we're the same rank, so you must be, pretty good if you're, as good as me. And I think I'm pretty good, so I think you're pretty good, Nat. That's all I'm trying to say. Someone else that's pretty good is probably down on the sidelines with you. Who's that?
I'm going to be joined by Draku. That's right. I've got him back for the post-game interview as well. Congratulations on that win. How is the atmosphere down there in the team?
Well, we're really disappointed that we actually botched early game. We played early game pretty bad. But luckily, Ron came to play today, and he just 1v9'd, just killed everyone. So yeah, any NA scouters, yeah, my mid lane is 16 years old. But he was too afraid to do his interview, so I got to do it for him. But no, props to Order. Like Order, Kevy. Okay, like I did call him a mini Swaif, but like a mini Swaif is really good. Like he kind of took over the early game, and I guess like all of them played pretty well. Their bot didn't lose 5 plates in 2 minutes in that matchup. But yeah, Ron, we're just lucky that we have a prodigy 16-year-old.
He did. He absolutely showed up today. I want to start at the draft, though, with my questions, because you said in the pre-game interview that if Order, you know, drafted the way you expected, how you've seen them before, like, you guys would be okay. Did the draft go the way you expected? Was it something you were ready to counter and had prepped for?
Yeah, we actually predicted that draft because we didn't expect the Fiora pick. Like, we were thinking that they were going to pick either Gangplank, Camille, or Fiora into Dr. Mundo, but if they were going to pick that, I was just going to, you know, maybe play Dr. Mundo with Senna. But then, yeah, they picked Fiora, and like that champion's pretty useless in 5v5s. Every time they grouped and Fiora was trying to flank, we just pushed forward into the 4 and we just won.
Well, I'm so glad that the draft went the way, you know, you're doing your homework, so the draft went the way you guys wanted. With the laning phase, what would you put that down to? You know, why did it tank so hard for you guys?
Laning phase was hard because obviously Fiora should beat Mundo. And Ari and Silas are pretty equal mid lane, at least early game. And then I guess our jungler kind of had a few hiccups early. So we kind of felt pressured to like play a really safe bot, even though we took 2 towers, 2 plates real quick. And we had a counter matchup bot. We wanted to keep pushing, but obviously Kevy kind of smurfed early game. So we felt really pressured. We couldn't push our lead bot lane.
Kevy really kept them in the game there then, if that's what I hear you saying. The last question I do want to ask as well is the turnaround. At what point did you guys think you had this game in the bag? Like, when did you stop worrying about a loss?
We kind of felt like that we weren't actually that behind because our comp was actually pretty good into them. Puma off a hyper carry, he can't really carry his team, no offense. And we just knew that if we front to back, like Fiora and Viego are just pretty useless into Heimerdinger. And we felt comfortable after the first, like, when Fiora was trying to flank us at Baron, and we just all pushed forward into the 4, that's when we felt like that we're going to win the game already.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and looking at a bit of a deep dive into that game. Congratulations again on that win.
Thank you.
Had to chuck in a sneaky dab there, didn't he?
Did he? I missed it. Can you do it again just because I missed Drakus?
Yeah, it was like that.
Oh.
I went to the single. I'm not doing it again. That's a one time.
Good job, Nat. Good job. I'm proud of you. You know, that took a lot of confidence, and now everyone thinks less of you, probably. Well, unless you're Draku, he probably thinks more of you. You know, he's like, yeah, she's doing it with me. Now, that was an interesting game, all things considered, and I am now 1 step behind in the predictions. So from here, it's probably downhill. So let's see how that goes for me personally.
I think we're on the same though, because I got the gravitas wrong yesterday. So you and I actually tied in last.
Tied in last. Beautiful. Well, that's exactly where you want to be. Now, we do have the player that delivered, and I think it's no surprise to anyone that, of course, it was Kisei just popping off the magician, just bouncing around the map like an absolute madman. And just so you're all aware, this kill participation has been fixed, and he has been a part of 81% of the kills that game for the Chiefs. So big congratulations to Kisei. He's taken home that $100 DoorDash voucher, and I can hear Maximize crying in the distance.
when I heard Rusty, you'd be like, you know, what has this Fiora done the game? Like, or even if Order win at this point, Maximize is not getting that DoorDash player that delivered.
Yeah, and look, Mac, while the kill participation's working, we aren't counting the stats of the number of wrinkles that this man has on his brain, which is just absurdly high. He's such a big brain player. Big credit to Kisei, because like the Chiefs said in the interview, it was a 1v9. He popped off.
Yeah, he certainly is a prodigy. Is he actually still 16?
He'd be 18 now, I think.
18? Okay.
17 or 18 now.
Dragu called him 16 in the interview.
I'm pretty sure he's
a bit
18
older.
and Dragu's lying.
It'd just be some meme. It would be a meme for sure. But
love
I
memes.
do know that kill participation, I think for the first 30 minutes, it was like 100%. Like literally everything happened through mid, through Kissa. If he wasn't involved, it wasn't going to take place. So until the very end there, where we're just having fun with it and just taking solo kills and all the rest of it, it pretty much was the case of, yeah, I'm gonna ego check you back and display why I should be the MVP.
And that's pretty much all she wrote. So we do have one POG song today. We heard it at the start of the show. So thank Warner for this one. Again, exclamation playlist if you do want to hear all of the sick tracks that Warner are providing with the LCO this split.